everybody doing tonight? I think I may be fighting something. It's either that or it's seasonal change, or it's the fact that I live across from a grain elevator and all the nastiness in the air. If you're not familiar with what an elevator is, it's more of that's a rural thing. So from farmers that will harvest their corn, they will bring it to like an elevator system, which is a whole bunch of super huge grain bins, and they put all of their corn in there and they get paid from the elevator. I'm pretty sure about that part. And when they are putting it in, it releases a lot of dust, and it's all GMO dust that has been sprayed with Roundup, and now all of that crap is airborne. Hey Paula. And it is really, really hard. Like, we have to wear masks outside, and we live right across the street from it. So every time, my husband brought this to my attention the other day, every time this starts, as soon as the elevator turns on, and it's on 24/7 for weeks and weeks and weeks, like it'll probably be on till December. It's awful. But I always start talking about moving because I then can't breathe for 6 months. So yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem. So if I sound raspy or I start like coughing or whatever, that's why. I don't know if it's that or if it's something else. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? I am over on Instagram going to talk about adaptogenic herbs all this week. So if you are interested about learning adaptogenic herbs, which are herbs that support your system during changes and times of stress, like season changes or the stupid elevator, definitely hang out over there because I'll have lots of stuff going on. All right, YouTube business, and then we're going to get into some medicine making stuff here. I have reached the first part of monetization. If you don't know what that is, excuse me. So there you can monetize. How is that legal? Robin, I would love to know how that's legal. I do know that the EPA has been called 2 or 3 times. No, I can't remember. Was it last year, I think? And then they didn't run for a while because they were just producing such a problem with the air, and it's not nearly as dusty as it used to be, but that crap is still in the air, and all of that spray and all of that junk, it's now aerosol version. Yeah. So anyway, don't get me started because I will go on forever, and we don't want the live to be about that. But yeah, it sucks and it shouldn't be legal. Okay, so I got my monetization for the first part of it. So there's 2 parts of it. Once you hit a certain number of watch hours, then you can start making money just showing up and talking on YouTube. So that at the point that I'm at, that you have something called super chats. So you might see down on your little control thingy. I can't see it down on mine. But there is an option to, I don't know what it looks like. It might be a $sign. It might be something. Anyway, it's like a way to tip me for watching. Do not feel obligated, but if it's something that you guys feel led, totally would appreciate it. That's the first type of monetization. And there's other perks too, like I get to embed certain links and things for people to click on. So you might see some of that. It's like direct links to our products right there. So that's handy. And then once we get to our 4,000 watch hours, which does not seem like it's a big deal, especially considering how many views that you get, especially when you get to, higher up there in subscribers, then you get monetized for like the ads that pop up through YouTube, then you get monetized that way. But I'm a little ways off. We're close, but I'm a little ways off. So for now, that's an option. But I want to make you guys aware because it's a new thing. So if you've got this new button that pops up, now you know what it is. But again, appreciate it, but totally not a necessary thing. All right, so we're going to do 2 different medicines, herbal medicines today. That was a moth. We've got goldenrod tincture that is already strained because we strained it on Instagram, but I completely forgot to bring my tincture bottles. So tomorrow I will have to be putting these in bottles. But we've got goldenrod, and I saved oregano for you guys. So we're gonna start with oregano first because I need to strain it. And then I'm gonna talk to you about both of them. And if you guys have questions, shoot them off. Let me know. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you wanna know. If it's a totally unrelated question, that's why it's Ask an Herbalist, and I will do my absolute best. And if I don't have an answer off the top of my head, I will absolutely direct you where you can get that information. Some of it may be my resources, some of it may not be. So, starting with oregano, we have it's probably about 350 square feet of oregano. It all started with a little 4x4 start. Oregano spreads like crazy, like crazy. So, if you don't want an oregano farm, don't plant it in the ground. Or maybe you do. Go for it. Tag me in pictures. I'd love to see them. Woo! This had some oregano's. Ooh. It had some oregano seed in it because this was flowered. Okay, now flowered oregano. You know what? Let me put the top back on because knowing my luck today, I will drop it. And then there goes the medicine. Do you see, like, right in here? Those are the flowers. Those are the blossoms. So if you have oregano that has blossomed, do not be scared of it. You can still use it. It's still good medicine. In fact, a lot of herbs, you want to wait until they're flowered. Oregano, it really depends on the smell of it. When you're harvesting oregano, you harvest in the peak of the day. Most herbs like the peak of the day, the heat of the day. It's not like, you know, regular gardening or farming where you go out super early when it's still cool and you get to be nice and comfortable and harvest all your goodies. Not with herbs. No, you wait until the heat, like 3 p.m. when everything is like just beating down on you. That's when you harvest your herbs. That's when you harvest more like the aerial parts. Roots are a totally different thing. That's more like this time of year for most of them. But like oregano, so like we're talking about today, this is heat of the day. Mints like to be harvested in the heat of the day. Your aromatic herbs typically, now this is not true for all of them, but typically, especially your common ones like oregano, mints, like this is a mint technically. And I'll show you how you can tell in just a minute. But those plants, they're volatile oils. So this is what makes them super potent and medicinal. They get stronger as the day goes on with more heat, especially if you've got a little bit of like, not necessarily a drought, but like a dry spell going. So like it's been a few days since it's rained and then everything is nice and dry. And then you've waited to the heat of the day. Best time to harvest oregano. And if you're not 100% sure, like maybe it rained yesterday, but it's super hot and dry today because we haven't been gotten tons of rain, but it did rain yesterday and you're not really sure. This is how you test. You pinch off a piece of the oregano, you roll it in your fingers to release the oils, and then you smell it. If it is super strong, it's ready. Go ahead and harvest that. You use stems, leaves, flowers, aerial parts, okay? All right, and then I'm gonna strain this and then I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about with how you can tell that a mint plant is a mint plant. Because there's some surprising herbs, things that are in the mint family that you would not guess would be a mint. Like oregano. A lot of people were like, oregano is not a mint. Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. The leaves in oregano look like mint. They look very much like mint. I think I'm gonna have to rinse that one out. Okay, I'm gonna strain this. And then I'm gonna show you. It's the stems. Okay, now you see I'm wearing one glove. It's because I think I'm out of gloves. So I'm handling everything with my gloved hand. I definitely don't want to be straining tinctures and like grabbing this without covered hands because it is absorbed through the skin. So you don't want all of that. I mean, that's like soaking your hand in this. And I'm getting a tiny bit on me, but it's not that big a deal. Ooh, there's a leaf. My garbage can. Okay, let me show you this leaf. So this leaf looks like a mint leaf, doesn't it? Yeah, it's got like the serrated edges, lots of veins going through there. It looks like a peppermint, but it's not. And then the stems are squared. They are very, very squared. And then, oh, what is the one herb? There is a, I can't think of it, which one it is. Like I can picture it in my head, but I can't remember what it is. It's not something that you would think is a mint, but it has got a super thick and super squared herb or stem. Okay. I think that's about all we're gonna do. Okay. Now, let's get this in here and I can show you what a square stem looks like. There we go. So, squared stem. Can you see that? It's got like the flat edges and let's see. Yep. Yeah, you can see it. I just don't know if you're gonna be able to capture it on camera here, but it's very, you can see how I kind of like roll it, how it like goes over to another side. It doesn't just roll like it's round. I don't know. That's the best way I can show you on camera. But it is, it's got a very, ooh, here's a big one. There we go. Can you see that? That's very squared. So squared stems mean, hi Allison. Squared stems mean that it's most likely going to spread. Allison is one that is growing. What are you growing that I told you? Be careful. And I told you, you need to be very cautious putting that in the ground. And you were like, no, I want it everywhere. I don't remember what it is. Is it oregano? Or is it another mint? Is it like a peppermint or something like that? You know what my favorite one is? Chocolate mint. When we do farm classes, I require everybody to taste it because it's amazing. It tastes, you taste the mint and then you taste like, if you open your mouth and you take a breath in, it's like a chocolate aftertaste. It's delicious. So, okay, so that's oregano. Oregano, let's do this without spilling. Oregano is a natural antibiotic. It is wonderful for fighting bacteria, fighting viruses. People use oregano in many, many different ways. They use it in tincture, like this. We like to use it in tincture. You can totally put this into oil, and you can make oil of oregano. That's literally how you make oil of oregano. You get yourself some good quality olive oil, and that's gonna need to be strained again, but that's okay. I'm gonna use my fine strain. Rubber gloves never crossed my mind. Yes, yes, wear gloves. It's gonna need to be strained again. You can see it's got some blossoms and things in there, but that's okay. I'll double strain it before I bottle it since I forgot my bottles. I didn't say that here yet. Bottles. Forgot them. So, if you want to make oil of oregano, you can put about, it's got to be dried oregano. When you're doing herbal oils, you want to make sure they're dried because of the water content in the herb. If you put fresh herb into oil to make an infused oil, you are going to, you're going to increase the, or actually decrease the time is how I want to explain it. Decrease the time that it's good. So it'll be rancid way faster. You want to, if you guys ever made homemade butter, okay? You want to make sure you get all the buttercream out of that butter or else it will go rancid faster, right? You don't want that. You want something that's going to last a good long while. Same thing here. If there's water in your herbs because it's not dried, then oh my goodness. Allison, you are going to have a mint zoo. I didn't realize it was much. All the mint, every variety, and lemon balm and oregano. Whoa. Whoa. Lemon balm doesn't spread that fast. Like, I have sprigs coming up here and there. Oregano goes crazy. Like, it runs we have it at our house here in town, okay? And it's in the garden. And then it has gone underneath the sidewalk and up in the raised bed on the other side of the sidewalk. It's also gone underneath the other sidewalk up into our backyard. So it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And whoever buys our house next when we move out to our farm at some point is, if they don't mow, they're going to have a problem. It's going to be everywhere. It'll be very fragrant though. So, okay. So now I am completely what was I saying? Now I'm distracted by all the oregano and mint varieties everywhere. Oh yeah, the oregano oil. So if you decide, what's that? I don't know what that is. Okay. If you decide to make the oil, just make sure you're using dried oil. Do not use fresh, okay? So to do that, half dried herb, half oil. You can let that sit for 4 weeks is all it takes in a dark place. Shake it every once in a while. Or you can take a crock pot and just like, say this is your crock pot, put like this much water in it, turn it on low, and just let it go all day, okay? I like to do like a solid 24 hours, honestly. But you can do, I've seen people do like 6, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever. If I'm gonna do it that way, personally, I like to do a solid 24 hours and just really get as much into it as I possibly can. Just sit it inside there, obviously leave the top off, you're good. You do have to, because you're leaving the top off, you do have to keep adding water to it, but that's it. And then you have oregano oil. And you can, I've got a friend right now that's using it for a kid that's having a dental issue. So she's rubbing it on his gums. You can put it on skin issues. You can, if you've got like a cellulitis, then you can, that can help you too. There's a lot of different uses. I mean, it's oil of oregano. I'm sure you guys have heard all of the amazing things about oil of oregano. I know, oh, there it is. That's okay. We'll use this one. I have gotten things all over the counter here. So that is like the best thing about oregano, like how great it is for fighting against things. Specifically, really good for bacteria in the gut and the lungs. Oregano is awesome. And of course, all of the culinary uses for it. It's fabulous. I don't ever use oregano in tea. I can't imagine an oregano tea would be tasty. So personally, for our family, we like to stick to tincture use. I do not. I made a soap with it once. I really didn't love how it changed the essential oil use with it. So I'm probably not going to be doing that again unless I just make it a solid oregano soap. And soap at a higher temperature, that is a totally different topic. And then it'll, goldenrod and oil. Okay, we'll talk about it in a minute. And then if we soap it at a higher temperature, then it won't, some of the scent will not come through as much. So I might maybe experiment over the winter, because that's where a lot of my new soap recipes come from, is in the winter when I just want to experiment. I am curious, does anybody here make soap? I know a couple people have made it in the past, just for fun, but does anybody make it regularly, even if it's just for your family, not for sale? I gotta take a drink. I love water. It's lovely. Goldenrod. I put goldenrod in oil. Should I dump it? No. Was it fresh? Because if it was fresh, you can still use it. Don't dump it. But just know that it's not going to last you nearly as long. So I would honestly, if it's fresh herb, my personal thing, and like I said, I am one herbalist. I give you one opinion. You can ask 10 other herbalists. They'll give you 10 other opinions. But if you are using an infused oil that has been started with fresh herb, I would half the life of it. So where you would normally get a 6-month life from it, I would give it 3. If you are going to store it in the fridge, then you could make it last for 6 months. You could, out of the fridge, I would not give it a year. I would give it 6 months. But I love your soap with peppermint. Which one? That's my husband. Which soap with peppermint? I thought you like, oh, isn't it the patchouli one? The patchouli mint one. That's his favorite one. You have nothing else to do other than come on here, huh? Am I the dinner entertainment? Okay. All right, so goldenrod. We're going to talk about goldenrod. All right, so I have not put out the goldenrod video yet here on YouTube. Yes, fresh. Okay, we'll get to that we'll get to goldenrod in a second. So yeah, then just, you can stick it in the fridge, and then just try and use it up. Or you can make soap with it, or you can make a salve with it. That's still going to decrease the shelf life of your salve, but the process of it, my dinner entertainment too. Good to know. The process of making the salve, because you've got higher temperatures and some evaporation happening, it might last longer, but I would still, personally, I would still store that in the fridge. I would not just throw that salve in your purse. Personally, I don't want to make a salve and keep it in my purse. I want to make a salve and keep it in my fridge, or if it's in winter, or, you know, late fall and early spring, then I'll keep it in like our cabinet or something, then that's fine. The kids want Oreos. Okay. Caleb already had too much gluten today though, so just give him one. I've only done soap once, so it's time to do it again. You need to make soap more. You need more. You got to be out by now. All right, let's talk about goldenrod. Goldenrod is pretty much spent where we're at here. I've only seen like a couple sprigs here and there because it's in more shaded areas. So if you're in an area where it's starting to get cold and starting to dip down into frost weather, kind of weather, then your goldenrod is super sensitive to that, and it's not gonna be great. It's gonna be all wilty and start turning brown. If it's not, if it's nice and dry and the leaves look good and everything is nice and bright yellow, then go ahead and harvest it and use it. So the areas, if it's colder where you're at, those areas, probably you could look in like timbers, because it still grows in like dappled sunlight. It still grows. Like our timber is super dense with catalpa trees mainly, and there's still a ridiculous amount of goldenrod. Like there's more goldenrod than grass. There's so much goldenrod, and there's still stuff coming up through there. And some of it has not blossomed. Some of it's just leaf. But there's still stuff that is blossomed. I've seen it here and there. But most of ours, I would say probably 90% of our farm, and we're in Zone 5A, Northwest Illinois, that it's spent. It's done. So if you want to still use goldenrod, and you can, just harvest, I would say like the first 6 to 8 inches of it. You can use the stem if you want. I personally don't, because it takes up more space in my jar. I make it by the half gallon since I make it in bulk to sell, and the leaves and the blossoms. What you can do, this is what I do. I kind of do this with the stems, and I pull the leaves off, and then I chop the blossoms. So I'm getting like the fine stems, and I put it in there. If you're doing it fresh, again, remember you can use dried herbs, but fresh is best, so you can capture the water soluble and the alcohol soluble properties. I will load it up, and then with goldenrod, and then top with alcohol. And I use 80 proof vodka, so it's 40% alcohol. The benefits for goldenrod, it is really good for allergies, specifically seasonal allergies, like ragweed allergies and cat allergies and hay fever. So I need to get a little more water here. In nature, the solution to your problem often grows right next to it. So ragweed often gets mistaken. What's the word? Mistaken. There we go. My brain is done. For goldenrod. So goldenrod has yellow tassels at the top, right? And it's it's more of a like this kind of shape, like inverted diamond kind of shape. And it kind of flops over. Ragweed is all green. It's got green tassels. They're not as long and they're not as wide. It's like straight tassels. And there's like common ragweed, which is smaller, and then there's large ragweed, which can look like a completely different plant. And unfortunately, all the pictures of it are on my phone. So maybe we can put some pictures of things in the community tab and you guys can check out the side by side there. I can do that. So that, oh, I think I have a goldenrod video. I do. I have a goldenrod video. You guys can check that one out. And you can see the difference. I do go through that. It was my recent one on goldenrod. I do go through the differences between them and how it compares to goldenrod so you can see it all. But the reason why most people are not allergic to goldenrod is because the pollen in goldenrod is super heavy. Like, it'll come off and sink to the ground. It is too heavy to fly through the air. So if you are a person that walks out of their house in fall and you're walking around and it's like, okay, fall allergies, it's awful. You are not allergic. Whoop. Okay, I hope I didn't buffer. But anyway, you are likely not allergic to goldenrod, but you are allergic to ragweed because ragweed's pollen is super, super light. And that stuff flies for miles and it's everywhere and it doesn't stop until you get a freeze. So, goldenrod helps to block the histamine reactions and it helps to soothe the inflammation that allergic reactions cause. So that is the case with hay fever, so pollen in the spring, and also the ragweed pollen in the fall. So this is something that is really good. The combination that I like to use for fall allergies is nettle, because again, the anti-inflammatory properties for nettle and the goldenrod together is like magical. It's wonderful. So if you're having allergies, or you just feel kind of itchy, your eyes are itchy, or you kind of like have a constant postnasal drip, even if you have like super mild allergies and you can't really, you never really figured out whether or not it was a fall allergy or if it's just the change of seasons or whatever, but it happens every single year. This is something that would definitely, be beneficial to try because it's not going to hurt you unless you have kidney issues. Robin, I'll answer that in just a second. Kidney issues, if you have kidney disease, if you have sluggish kidneys, if you are diabetic and your doctor has said, hey, your BUN and your creatinine is high or is looking a little off, you should know those numbers if they pertain to you. Don't take this because goldenrod has a diuretic property in it. And what that means is it pulls fluid. It pulls fluid from a place where it doesn't belong and puts it through the cells, puts it back into the cells where it does belong, and then it hits the kidneys hard. And when that happens, you have to pee constantly. So you're like flushing out your system, which is great, but it's a problem if you have any kind of kidney issue. You have stress kidneys, you have kidney failure, I just thought about this. If you have had a kidney transplant, you need to talk to your doctor and be very cautious. And then, if your labs are off, I would be very, very cautious also because it's going to put more pressure on those kidneys to filter everything out. Does ragweed have good properties medicinally? Not that I'm aware of. I have not done the research on that. I would imagine no, because it is such an evil plant, specifically for my husband. He has an awful ragweed allergy. So Mark, I don't even know if you're still here. If you are still here, does goldenrod work well for you? Goldenrod and nettle? I do know that the little bottle that he always forgets to take it. And he takes allergy pills. And then I remember he's had some nights this year where it was and the allergy pill, and that worked really well for him too. You can totally stack that with pharmaceutical medications. Okay. All right. The other thing, let me take another sip of water. Okay. The other thing that you can use goldenrod for is for help with your urinary and your excretory systems. So the difference between your urinary and your excretory systems, your excretory system is your kidneys and your ureter. And ureters, there's two of them. Your urinary system is your bladder and your urinary tract. So it works together, right? So this supports all of that. What it does is, well, we talked about the diuretic property, but it also can kind of calm all the mucosal membranes in there, and kind of like in the same way that it'll block antihistamine, it will help support kind of balance in that system. There are two recipes that I use that I absolutely love, and then we use them regularly. The one I gave you for allergies, actually I'm gonna give you three. So the one I gave you for allergies, that is the goldenrod and the nettle together. Excellent, excellent. Use that for allergies. You can use that. We use, let's see, half a dropper is about 30 drops, and 30 drops with nettle and goldenrod together is about what we do. And then for like my husband, he's a big guy, and he is not like, he's got a metabolism that burns through medicine. So I will give him a double dose because I know how he responds and how his body works with medications. So I will give him a double dose of that. And then my son, who's 13, he will get a single dose of that. For kids, you always start with half of the smallest starting dose. So like if you're going to do goldenrod, you're going to start with 2 milliliters up to 4 times a day? I think it's up to 4 times a day. So 2 milliliters. So for a kid, you start with 1 milliliter. 1 milliliter, 15 drops. Okay. So it's like a quarter of a dropper. Woo, the ice. That is like a quarter of a dropper. Okay. So it's like that. Okay. You see that? It's like that. So you start with that, and I just put it like in a little bit of water. You can put it in juice for kids and they don't even know they're drinking it. This is what I do for one of my children. I hope he's not watching. And no, he's pretty good at it. I'll just tell him, like, do you want medicine that you have to chew, or do you want a tincture? Tincture. So, and it's quick and easy, and he doesn't have to chew anything. So man, this fridge is noisy tonight. This one I'm going to talk about in the next. Okay. Little bit of a personal thing to me. I have kidney stones, and I don't know why. They don't know if they say it's not from my Humira or from my prednisone use or anything. It's not diet related. It's not because of sodium. It's not because of calcium. Like all the different ways it could be. Everything was like normal. Great, of course. So they are just like, okay, we'll keep drinking water and we'll just keep watching you. Great, fabulous. Well, this last kidney stone, I've had them for years, but they've always just been easy to pass. This last year, it was right before Christmas, and I spent all of December laying on my right side with a heating pad draped over my left because it was awful. And I had to have surgery for that one, have a stent placed. The stent was worse than the kidney stone. It was so bad. But that stone was too big for me to pass, and it was blocking. So it was like backing up into my kidney, and I had something called hydronephrosis, which is basically your kidney is like swelling, and when that happens, you get kidney damage. So they're like, we got to get this out. So since then, I have this thing, and I keep it with me all the time, especially since my purse is not sitting in a hot car. You cannot leave tinctures in a hot car. Don't do that, because then all you're going to have is nasty tasting vodka. Okay, you're not going to have medicinal properties in here anymore. So you don't want to do that. So this mixture is gravel root, stone root, goldenrod, corn silk, and nettle. I'm going to do a separate video on how to blend tinctures and how to make a mixed medicine, but it's basically a lot of math, a lot of simple math, but it's a lot of math because all of those herbs have different dosages. So you have to take different dosages in mind, like you measure them out individual, and then you can blend them together, and then you can put them in bottles. So I take this when I start feeling anything. If I feel stiffness, soreness, pain, anything in my kidneys. If you don't know where your kidneys are, they're in the center of your back, like women, just underneath your bra line. And so going around, it's like this high. This is where your kidney is on the back. So if you start feeling pain there and it's on one side or the other, and then as it gets worse, as kidney stones move is when you feel pain. You don't feel pain if they're not moving. So as they're moving, you feel the pain. Some people feel like when mine first started moving, I felt like really sick, really uncomfortable, and just pain in my entire abdominal region, front and back. And then they told me when I got to the ER, like, yeah, you got a kidney stone. I'm like, no. So if you start feeling that, if you're prone to them, if you start feeling that, I start taking this immediately. Gravel root and stone root break apart stones. So they both work together a little bit differently, but they complement each other. When you're blending herbs, you need to use them to complement each other. And the goldenrod we talked about, it calms mucosal lining. It helps push fluid. You want that to help push the kidney stones out, bladder stones too. The corn silk helps calm everything down. The nettle lowers the inflammation. It's nutritive to your body, so it gives you a little more what you need, helps you boost those red blood cells, which strengthens your body. And then, was that everything? Yeah, corn silk, gravel root, stone root, goldenrod, nettle. Yeah, so that was everything. So this is an excellent one. And then the last one I want to share is a urinary support tincture. And that one is equal parts of goldenrod and corn silk. It is the same corn silk that you get where if you are husking corn, the silk that's in there that you just throw out, don't throw that out. Keep that. Keep that. And if you're going to make soap, it is great. You just kind of cut it and put it in your soap into your lye water, because then it dissolves it and you get the properties of it in there. It is really good for getting a good slip in your soap. Have you ever used a bar of soap and it just doesn't glide? It's not real silky on your skin. It doesn't really slide across your skin. And then you've used other bars that it's just like, it almost feels like a lotion is in there. That is what corn silk does. It's really, really nice. So fresh corn silk in particular, I like to freeze mine for tincture and tea purposes, because it makes a very sweet tincture and tea. You can dehydrate it and then keep that in your apothecary for when you're going to need it internally. Does anybody have any questions about anything? Y'all have been pretty quiet tonight. And every week we do a live, we get more people. So I'm very, very excited. Hi, Beth. Beth is here from the DeClercq Homestead. Bundles of info. Thank you again. You are welcome. I am happy to do it. So goldenrod, I would say my favorite way to take goldenrod is probably tincture, but it's also really good in a tea. If you're going to do it in a tea, it's really good in a seasonal support tea. Ooh, I didn't mention that on Instagram. See, this is why it's benefits to go do both. Because on Instagram, you get more of a behind the scenes daily life kind of a thing. And I can get more personal with the learning. Instagram is like, I'm here longer. So we can do all sorts of information. Then my brain starts going and then you get all that. Okay, so I have a seasonal support blend and I cannot remember everything that's in it, but I can tell you a few things. And if you want the full recipe, my recipe book, my 50 herbal remedies to stock your home apothecary, it's so bad I can't remember the name of anything that I create. It's in there, along with 10 other tea recipes, 10 tincture recipes, 10 tea, 10 tincture, 10 salve, 10 herbal oils, and 10 oxymels. Do you guys know what an oxymel is? Because I think we might have time to talk about that if you're interested. Let me know. That's where you gotta type and talk to me. But this tea, it has orange peel. It has the goldenrod. It has elderflower in it. I'm sure it has nettle in it. And there's a couple other ones, can't remember. Can't remember off the top of my head, that's why I write everything down. See, my book, I write everything down. If I don't write it down, it's not gonna happen. So that tea is really, really tasty. It's got like a hint of sweetness in there. It's got like the citrus, but the goldenrod has such a unique flavor to it. I love it in a tea. The trick though, with getting goldenrod ready for like storing long-term dehydrated, is you have to get it, if you harvest it too late, it'll poof. So then you have, it basically goes to seed on you. It'll turn the blossoms will turn, like if they're in like peak, right? You harvest it when they're at 100% of the flowered section is at peak, meaning all the blossoms are totally open, and you try and bring that home to dry it. Have you ever tried to pick dandelions and then you let them sit? They turn to what my kids call wishes. Okay, they go to seed. Dandelion or goldenrod does this too, and it is it's very, very frustrating when you go and you harvest all that stuff, and then you can't use it because it's all seeded out. So what I do when I'm harvesting goldenrod is I harvest it. If I'm going to harvest it to dehydrate it, then I harvest it when it's like 50 to 75% open. So that's the blossoms that are open. Goldenrod is all individual. And I was going to see if I could show you one, but it's like buried. The blossoms, it's like a whole bunch of individual flowers make up the whole blossom head. And they all blossom at slightly different speeds. So the ones down at the bottom are going to blossom slower than the ones at the top of the blossom head. So when you get to about 50 to 75% open, harvest that and hang it. And that will give you a non-poofed herb that you can dry the leaves and the blossoms, and you will be able to use that in teas. Yeah, poofy stuff is not going to do anything for you. Corn silk tea. Okay, hang on. We have some. Hey, Beth. I'm so glad you're here. Bundles of info. We already read that. Corn silk tea. Oh, corn silk tea is good. It's super sweet. Tastes kind of like corn. It's, because you're getting it off of sweet corn. So you're not getting it off of seed corn. And for any non-rural or, people that just don't understand that, the vast fields that you see of corn is not sweet corn. That is feed corn. That is seed corn. So that is corn that's going to be used in corn products for feed to cattle, all sorts of other things, but that is not your sweet corn that you would buy from like a farm stand or in the store. That's not that. You want the sugar content that is in sweet corn. So, and again, organic, only organic. Otherwise, it is sprayed to high heaven, and you do not want that crap. Okay, yes, please. Oxymels are honey-based. Okay, so oxymels, and everybody else is yes. Okay, so oxymels are a combination of an herb and apple cider vinegar and honey. And raw honey, of course, raw honey. And organic apple cider vinegar with the mother. You want that. The mother is the thing that looks like it's going bad at the bottom, right? You want that. That's good stuff. That is all the beneficial bacteria in there. So you take, it depends on the herb, and it depends on how much you're making. Like if you're creating an oxymel like this, you're going to use different amounts of stuff. So you take your herb, and then I like to add the herb first, and then the honey, and then the apple cider vinegar. I just feel like it kind of disperses the honey over the herb, and then you don't get clumps of honey, so you don't have to shake it so much. But that is a wonderful way to make a syrup. I love using oxymels as like a base for syrups. It is really tasty to make like an elderberry oxymel. That's really, really good. Did I make that on here? I don't know if I made that on Instagram. I think maybe I did it in stories a while ago. It's about done. And the way, was it last week we started talking about elderberry, I think we were talking about last week, and how purple the the finished product is. Oxymels are even darker. It just like, it pulls everything out, but it has like this deep texture, and it's so pretty. I love it. I love seeing how pretty they are. But they're really soothing to the throat, really beneficial. They're mostly, it's still really sweet, but it's not like you're taking a spoonful of honey sweet. You still have the taste, a little bit of the taste of the apple cider vinegar, but it's not like taking a shot of apple cider vinegar, how like tart that can be. It's not like that. But again, I've got 5 oxymel recipes in my recipe book, and that's gonna be on sale next week, just so you know. So watch out for that. Which I'm sure does not help sales tonight, but you know what? Watch out for it next week because you can save some money. So if you guys don't have any other questions, then I am going to hop off so I can go eat some dinner. So again, goldenrod tincture, oregano tincture. Look at the differences of them. Really, really 2 very, very great tinctures to have on your shelf. Very versatile. And remember, you can add tinctures into things too. Like you can take your tinctures straight, or you can take them in tea. Just don't take them in dairy. Vodka and alcohol, and vodka and milk. I can't imagine that would be a good combination. But other than that, like pretty much anything else, like coffee, if you have like, it's the season, hot cider, things like that, you can put them in, and unless you're using a lot of tincture, you're not going to taste it. There's some really, really strong ones, like astragalus, horehound is another one, really, really strong. So they've got a very, very, very strong flavor. So those, I don't know if I would want to ruin a drink, a whole cup of tea, by adding that in there. I think I would just bite the bullet and just take in a little shot of water. Yeah, some of them are really gross, but this is herbal medicine. We're not taking it to enjoy the flavor. That would be a tea. That would be a tea. Yeah. And then they last as long as you are storing them in a cold, dark place and you're not putting them in direct sunlight or in and out of extreme temperatures. They'll last you a good long while. If you're buying things from me, I think I legally have to tell you 2 years. But they last a long time because alcohol is an excellent preservative. I did have a question on a video here. If I could talk about the types of alcohol to use with medicine making. So you can use vodka, you can use gin, you can use brandy. I know a lot of people like to use brandy. I'm not a drinker, so I couldn't tell you what tastes the best. And I don't think it really personally matters what's going to taste the best tasting liquor. You're not doing it for the flavor of a tincture. You're doing it for the benefits of the tincture. Thanks, Jen. Great information. I really appreciate you. Thank you, Paula. I appreciate you guys being here. All right. So since there's no other questions, I'm going to hop off. Keep an eye out for the videos coming up this week. I'm going to have a Costco haul that's got an herbal twist because I go over the things that I'm buying regularly from Costco for medicine making. And then I got a couple new kitchen gadget toy things, and that is specifically for like macerating tinctures with certain types of herbs. So I'm going to have videos coming up on how to make that kind of stuff. But I've got the Costco haul and of course all the other stuff we just got for our family because they're fun. Costco hauls are fun. And then we're talking about chamomile this week. So watch out for those 2 videos. And you guys have a good night. Have a good week. And we'll see you later. Bye.